The hills and valleys of the Kettle Moraine region of Wisconsin have long heard the roar of racing, since 1953 in fact, and today is no different. 4 sweeping miles of road course are paved through the forest in sort of a Jurassic Park of motorsport. They call this place Road America, the National Park of Speed. Today it plays host to a virtual racing tournament in iRacing, live on location at Sim Racing Chicago in Algonquin, Illinois. 30 drivers from around the country have converged on this state-of-the-art facility to do battle in the Porsche Cayman 718 GT4 car with prizes on the line. The winner after 3 races today will have a seat in either a Champ Car or Double Rail race to go racing for real. Welcome to iRacing, welcome to Road America, and welcome to Sim Racing Chicago. I'm Kyle Heyer, I'll be with you today, broadcasting all the action live on location from Sim Racing Chicago. Pleasure to be with you today. Bad weather outside, but in the sim it is perfect, and it's a great day for racing, so we'll take you to it in just a moment. Qualifying underway right now for the first of 3 races. Earlier today, we had 30 drivers compete for 10 spots in an A main race. But this is race C, so we'll race the 10 slowest drivers, then the next 10, and then the top 10 to finish things out as we head into the tail end of the day. Down to the racetrack now for qualifying coverage here from Road America. On track right now on the top left of the screen, you're going to see your timing and scoring. With the best lap of the qualifying session, this will set the grid for our 30-minute race in a little while. Right now at the top, it's Egidijus Sadauskas in sim number 1. The sim that they correspond with is their number on the timing and scoring. You can see here on the cameras we've got 10 simulators here at Sim Racing Chicago. Number 1 is the farthest to the left, number 10 furthest to the right, and their name on the timing and scoring corresponds with which sim they are seated in. Sadauskas right now fastest here in qualifying, followed by the number 8 car. That car today in sim number 8 is Gary Peace. Gary in the Castrol liveried Porsche Cayman. In third right now is car number 3. That's Amir Abdik, working down the hill towards turn number 3 at the moment. And riding on board here, this is a GT4 class Porsche 718 Cayman GT4 Club Sport MR. And this car makes about 450 horsepower. And it gets up and goes. Mid-engine layout in this car, but it is known for having exceptional balance. And in comparison to other GT4 cars, perhaps a bit more nimble, but not quite as fast on a straightaway. But all the cars today are equivalent, so no concerns there as we watch Abdik work his way down through turn number 5 here at Road America. Here's a look at the track layout. About 4.048 miles around this racetrack, 14 corners. It all starts with a run down towards turn number 1. 90-degree right-hander right off the start to woe down to about 4th gear here in a GT4 car, and then it's turn 2. Not much of a corner, it's just a kink. Then turn 3 on the brakes, down a couple gears more, and then onto the back straightaway underneath the famous Sargento Cheese Bridge, and then into turn 5, one of your best passing zones. You'll get it done now down there at turn 5 before heading up the famous Corvette Bridge at turn number 6. Before turn 7, a kick back to the right. Turn number 8, another great passing opportunity leading into the carousel. A long 180-degree corner that heads downhill towards the kink. The kink, we'll talk about that corner a little bit later. Then it's a run through the Kettle Moraine forest of the Wisconsin area up to Canada Corner, the furthest north turn on the facility. Bill Mitchell Bend, a left-hand kink, turn 13, and turn 14 wraps up the lap here. Takes you about 2 minutes and 17 seconds in anger in a GT4 Cayman. Board times coming up on the board right now, and it looks like Trejo in the number 9 has jumped up into 3rd place right now. We'll have a look at him on the screen here. And best lap of a 2:24.709 puts him 4th so far. A couple other drivers here. Sim number 10 will not be occupied, so 9 drivers in this first of 3 30-minute races that we've got going on later today. McHugh in the number 2 on track right now. There he is. And that is Eric McHugh driving in sim number 2, heading down into turn 5 that I mentioned before, down a couple of gears. Nice apex there on the inside. The curbing here at Road America, especially the exit curbing, will rattle the teeth out of your skull. It is a rough racetrack that did just get repaved in the 2022 off-season, but they left the curbing alone, so it will still have that characteristic rumble anytime you go run a little bit wide. It certainly will put you through your paces and your equipment. Sadauskas still at the top of the board, though, with a 2:21.604. With 5 minutes remaining here in qualifying, then we'll again have that 30-minute race before we head on to race number 2. Sadowskis heads up the hill and over the crest back towards the start-finish line here. Won't be an improvement on his fastest lap of the day. Here comes Gary Peace in the fence and into the wall in the kink, and this is a corner that I mentioned. We were going over the track preview. This is a corner that will bite you. It is a fast right-hand corner, and in a GT4 car, it's a little bit of a lift, a confidence lift just to set the nose, but you see Gary didn't quite get the nose turned in there, and then back to the inside wall at the exit of the corner. That corner in real life has more marks on that wall than probably any other wall in road racing. It is a treacherous corner that you take at north of 120 miles an hour and not as much downforce in a GT4 car as you would have in a GT3. So you don't have the arrow to lean on that you might have in a different classification car. So Gary will get back rolling now as he exits turn 14 and sets up for another run up the hill following Eric McHugh. A little bit of slipstream here, perhaps following in tow of the leading car. Get a little extra straightaway speed to use down the very long straightaways here from 14 to turn 1 and then from turn 3 to turn 5. Sadowski is still on provisional pole by 1.8 seconds. Here's a look into turn number 1 by the second place car. Gary Peace gets the pass done on Eric McHugh and pulls away into that turn 2 that we mentioned isn't much of a corner, but then turn 3. This is such an important turn because it leads you onto the longest straightaway of the racetrack and into your best passing zone. If you make a mistake here, it's going to bite you for 15, 20 seconds until you get on the binders here. And you'll see speeds north of 145, maybe 150 miles an hour in the slipstream in a GT4 configuration race car. So Peace down the back straightaway now. Wait for the brake lights to pop on and creep over to the right, maybe straddle the curb there, but Gary leaves it alone before tucking in tight for turn number 5 and accelerates off and away. Other drivers on course right now. Looks like the number 5 machine. That's Steve Nunn working his way through turn 5. He's got right behind him rig number 4. And that is Eric Pelebchuk. Working his way now through the carousel. This is a corner that this Porsche, actually that's turn 7 now, but heading to the carousel shortly. The carousel is a great opportunity for the Porsche to really show its prowess in the corner. A little bit of contact there, pushing and shoving here in qualifying. They touch and they crash. Big impact there for Eric as he slides to a halt into the tire bundles. Let's have a look at that again down towards turn number 8. Was tangling with sim number 5, that was Steve Nunn, once, twice, thrice, and then pow into the concrete barriers. And that will take them out of the lap that they were running. Sadowski is still on pole, looking good in the number 1 car as it stands. Gary Peace we've documented, so same with Trejo and Avdik. And the only other driver that we haven't really talked much about is this guy. This is Hunter Cole in the Volt liveried Porsche Cayman. Hasn't gotten the clean lap in just yet, but aiming to do so the next 2 minutes. If you don't get a qualifying lap, you'll start towards the tail of the grid in this one. Means you will start behind the other 8 competitors. 9 drivers in this, 10 in the B main, and then 10 in the A main that are fighting for a shot to win a ride in either Champ Car or in WRL. Other prizes on the line, and a little mistake there by Cole at turn number 5, heads off into the gravel. He will not get a lap in before we complete qualifying. Gary Peace heads up the hill to complete another lap, but not in the green, not trending to be a better lap than his previous. Across the line now for Gary. And into turn 1 he will go. He might get one more run at it here as we get closer and closer to the tail end of this qualifying session. Right, remember, there will be 3 races and 3 qualifying sessions that we'll navigate here this afternoon. Before we head into our first race, again, we'll run you through the starting order when we get there as well, so keep that in mind. That will run down the grid for you on the pace lap before we turn everybody loose. No one competing with Egidijus Sadowskis right now. Still the fastest driver on the racetrack heading into turn number 14. And looks like he's going to pull over to the right, head up the pit lane. Satisfied with his lap, he will return to pit road. As we go back to Pelebchuk, up into turn number 6. This corner has almost always had Corvette branding over the bridge there. Only for a couple years in the 1960s did it disappear. But since then, it has always been known as the Corvette bridge in turn number 6. Pei Lip-Chuk down through turn 7. That's a fast right-hand kick. Big curve there on the inside in real life. This track laser scanned back in 2009 in the iRacing service. And Pei Lip-Chuk now heads through the carousel. 93 miles an hour corner speed. And now heading up towards the kink. And watch the rev lights up into 5th gear. Not quite to 6th. Little bit of a lift, turn in the nose, and then accelerate back on throttle again. A little bit of wiggly and wobbly off the corner, but carries on and continues. Coming back to the checkers this time for the drivers that have not yet completed their flying laps. Egidijus Sadauskas up on top with a 2:21.6. Nobody looks like they're going to beat that time in this session, but here comes Pei Lip-Chuk past Gary Peace in the Castrol car. And now final corner for these drivers on their flying laps. This will set your grid for the first of the races here this afternoon here from Sim Racing Chicago. Again, we are on location. We are here in Sim Racing Chicago. You see the drivers on the sims there. That's Sim 10, the far end of the run there, the 987 coming back to the left. Checkered flag for Pei Lip-Chuk and for Gary Peace, and a good run for Pei Lip-Chuk up to second place at 2:22.779, puts him second outside front row for the start of this one. Another good look at Hunter Cole heading down into turn number 5. A little bit wide there on corner exit and has to bail out of the throttle. Here's another look at Steve Nunn, who's working his way back towards the checkered flag, but not really under speed. 2 minutes left here before the session will switch over to the race, as Nunn goes for a little bit of a slide there into the gravel trap. Pei Lip-Chuk already completed, same with Gary Peace, just finishing their cool-down laps. Here comes contact on the front straightaway. Avdic into the fence, collecting the number 10 car was that. Well, that was a bit of contact there for Avdic. Let's go back and have a look at how that happened. Out of the final corner and contact, that was Steve Nunn that he made contact with, and it just seemed like Nunn was kind of broadside across the racetrack, and not much they could have done about that. Qualifying is complete, and there is your starting order, but we'll show it to you again here in just a moment. Refresher on where we are. Road America, the National Park of Speed, 4 miles around here. And this track in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, population 1,000, but only when racing isn't in session. It is a small town. This track built as configured in 1955, although racing in Elkhart Lake was sooner than that. Again, 4.048 miles and 14 corners is the course we're working with today. Of course, Road America, only a handful of tracks in the world with its original configuration. This track has never changed since it was constructed in 1955. It's a pretty narrow racetrack, and the narrowness comes from the fact that when the track was paved, they just essentially took a standard paving machine and made 2 passes, and that was the width of the track, and since then it has not been adjusted with the exception of runoff. There's a look at your starting field up in the front. It is sim number 1, Egidijus Sadauskas, on that front row, alongside sim number 4 with Eric Pei Lip-Chuk behind the wheel. That's the silver, or excuse me, the Hoonigan car there, the Monster Energy branded machine. Then in row number 2, of course, we have sim 2 with Eric McHugh alongside sim 8. That's Gary Peace in the Castrol car. Row 3, sim number 9, Ramiro Trejo, and then alongside him in 6th is Amir Avdic, followed by sim number 7, Guido Ecclestone. And then sim number 6, that is Hunter Cole. Last driver on the grid will be sim number 5, that is Steve Nunn. Drivers getting prepped to go racing here for the first time. And they're going to be doing a lap of the 4-mile facility behind the safety car, warm up their tires, warm up their brakes. In just a moment, we'll show you the starting grid as they roll around. But On Location, what a fantastic facility here at Sim Racing Chicago in Algonquin, Illinois. This is one of those gems that once you know it exists, you almost can't believe it exists. Such a cool facility with 10 sim rigs, all with motion capability and direct drive systems. This is definitely a very well thought out facility. Everyone checking it out, spectating the action as the cars roll off. Let's have a look at our starting grid for this one for Road America in the first of our 3 heat races, or first of our races tonight. Igor Sadowskis on the front row. He'll start alongside Eric Pilipchuk in second place on that outside of that front row. Page number 2, this is row 2. Eric McHugh alongside Gary Peace, followed by Ramiro Trejo and Amir Avdik in row number 3. Row 4, Guido Ecclestone, followed by Hunter Cole, and then Steve Nunn will wrap up the field there for your starting lineup. Cars rolling behind the safety car, all Porsches, safety car included, 911 pacing the field, a 718 Cayman GT4 Club Sport MR, that's a mouthful. That is the car we're racing here today. So prizes on the line here. Winner of this race is going to win a private track day at the Autobahn Country Club. Winner of the second race will get a private track day at Autobahn Country Club with coaching. And then the winner of the top heat race, the top race, the A main, we're going to call it today, that driver will get a chance to race in WRL or in Champ Car. That is going to be a lot of fun. Other prizes on the line for second and third place finishers today, but the goal is to win, as it always is. Drivers are just getting prepped. The butterflies here. Anytime you're out of your element, and some drivers here are dedicated sim racers, they spend a lot of time on the sims, but you come to a facility like this, even though the equipment might even be nicer than what you've got at home, it's still an unfamiliar environment that you have not necessarily had a lot of time to practice in. So you're having to adjust not only the comfort and fit, how you sit in the seat, where all the controls are, but just how to go fast. And it's actually kind of funny, some drivers jostling over which sim. I like this one better, I like that one better, but they've all found a happy medium before we get rolling here today. This race, again, 30 minutes, should be about 13 laps worth of racing at the National Park of Speed. Spectators watching and rooting on their buddies here as we get set. Good look again at Igor Sadowskis, who has run club racing before with Grid Life, so I'm familiar with him. I've seen him. We've also got Dom Sigovicius here, who I've seen in Grid Life competition as well. Lots of road racers, whether virtual or real, have descended on Sim Racing Chicago today for this in-person event, and how cool of an event it is. Glad to be a part of it here at Sim Racing Chicago. Doubled up, heading down towards Canada Corner. A little bit of weaving there by Sadowskis. Get some temperature in the tires and in the brakes. Because when you go into turn number 1 here at Road America, you want that brake pedal to have pressure. Virtual or real, you need to trust it. Now setting up for the start of a 30-minute fiasco here at this 4-mile, 14-turn classic American road racing circuit. When you think American road racing circuits, you think of Watkins Glen, you think of Laguna Seca, you think of Mid-Ohio, Daytona, Sebring, but this one has to be at the top of the list. What a spectacle. In person, it's one of my favorite facilities to visit up in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, just about 2 hours north of here. But the field's doubled up, heading up the hill towards the green flag. We're going to be waiting on the green flag. Sadowskis is in command of the field. Here we go, everybody. Sim Racing Chicago, battling for prizes, all in person. Green flag flies, and we're racing at Road America. Down towards turn number 1. Sadowskis gets a nice clean getaway. He's clear of sim number 4 with Pilipchuk behind him, but into turn number 1, Gary Peace in the Castrol car. He's almost up to the rear bumper, but it's side by side for a moment into turn 1, but now Sadowskis clears him as they leave the first corner and head through turn number 2. Good clean start there. It looked nice and straightforward. Gary Peace on board with him now. Pilipchuk off to the right, having a look at the top spot. It's a long run down towards turn number 5. Use the slipstream. Sadowskis didn't leave the corner very well. Here comes Pilipchuk to the left. He's got overlap just a little bit. Here he comes, side by side, down towards turn number 5. Pilipchuk on the inside. It'll be a braking duel to turn 5. What a great passing opportunity. Gary Peace watching from third. Where do you go? What do you do? And Pilipchuk to the lead at turn 5. Now up into turn 6. Sadowskis back to third place in one corner. He's not going to want that. Behind them, a little bit of shifting and shuffling. Ramiro Trejo up past Eric McHugh as we go back to the lead here as Pele Chuk tries to put some distance on the two that he got past in turn number 5. In the background, that is Eric McHugh. He is chasing the man ahead of him. That is Guido Ecclestone, and losing a little bit of time here through turn number 8. But the carousel, this is a challenging corner to get right. You're waiting on this apex later, and then you're setting up for the kink. And the kink is going to take a couple cars out of the race. That's almost a guarantee every time you come to Road America. Through the kink, first time. Pele Chuk through, off is Gary Peace at the carousel, or the kink, and into the wall goes Sadowskis, the pole sitter, slams the Armco, and big trouble behind him. More cars involved. That is Ramiro Trejo also, and it so is, I think that is, oh man, that is big drama there. Also, sim number 3, Amir Avdik in the wall, but your pole sitter, that is big trouble for Sadowskis in sim number 1. He gets back rolling, but let's have a look. Right there, you see Gary Peace go off, then you see Sadowskis go into the wall, back across the road. And then there was 2 separate incidents there that kind of happened. They all collected each other. But big dramas here early. Sadowskis back rolling. McHugh is the one out of the race so far, as looks like more trouble now for Amir Avdik, who's off at turn 14. So more trouble this time for sim number 3. And this one might have been self-inflicted here, heading up towards turn 13. Billy Mitchell bend and tracks out a little bit wide, grabs the grass, and then tank slaps it into the outside wall. Up front, it is the number 4, Eric Pele Chuk, who's out front, and now in second place, it is Gary Peace. Now, he almost went off. Well, he did go off at the kink, but kept the tires pointed the right direction. Now inheriting third place is Guido Ecclestone, who started this race back in 7th place, so up 4 positions for the number 7 car. So one driver out of the race here so far with 26 minutes to go. Pele Chuk leads comfortably by 4.2 seconds. And it's Gary Peace in rig number 8 that rides a lonesome second, but just about 2.5 seconds behind is Guido Ecclestone, who is trying to close that differential down, and it's about 2.2 seconds at the moment between second and third place. And I've talked a lot with Tom O'Gorman, who used to race in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge and now races at Grid Life. He talked about Road America being 2 distinct racetracks. The first half of the track is really going to benefit getting really good corner exits. It benefits cars that have a lot of power and torque. The second half of the track is a much more of a handling section than you'd think. Really, turn 5 through turn, really the carousel, turn number 10, and then the kink at 11, Canada corner at 12. That's where being nimble and accurate is going to help you here at Road America. Gap extends just a little bit. Looks like McHugh is back rolling out of the pit lane, so he will stay on the lead lap but have some work to do to gain the time back after that incident at the kink. On board now with Ecclestone again, chasing 2.1 seconds. That gap did come down a little bit. Little early turn in there for turn 14, and that will hurt him all the way down the front straightaway and off in the grass as well, dropping left side tires in the dirt. 2.3, 2.4, 2.5 seconds back. The gap grows. It's such a critical corner to leave turn 14 in anger, and it looks like Hunter Cole perhaps might have had an issue. Let's have a look at what just happened at turn number 6. He was off course. Here's a replay. Was off, had the right side tires in the grass, unloaded, hit the brakes, and pow into the concrete. Hunter Cole will get back rolling. Down the back straightaway under the Sargento bridge, Pele Chuk. What a start, by the way, getting past Sadowskis down at turn number 5. Wasted no time getting that done. Now on the binders into turn number 5, looking very tidy and collected. 2:21.914 is previous lap. Now we saw times in the 2:17s as the fastest times I've seen today, so someone could run him down if they could figure some things out, but he works his way through turn number 6 while his closest chaser Gary Peace runs through turn number 6 now. So about 6 seconds between those two. And now 3 back to Ecclestone in third place. It all came down to the kink on the opening lap. We knew it was going to be a challenge to get through there and accurately aim your way through the corner. Leipzig doing all he can do in race number 3. Now remember, we have the C main, the B main, and the A main. This is the C main, so we're going to get progressively faster and bigger prizes as we get throughout the afternoon. So in 23 minutes, we'll re-rack them or restack them, have the B main run, and then the big prize for the A main. That will be the final 30-minute race of the afternoon here from Sim Racing Chicago. Again, we're on location live from Sim Racing Chicago in Algonquin, Illinois. What a fantastic facility. It is a cool place. Set up and used, and it's something that you can rent out with your friends. Bring a whole group in, have a little bit of an esports championship of your own. But today, the battle is for a WRL and Champ Car seat in that A main race. But still track time available to the winner of this one. And so far, it has been Pelechuk in command. Let's check back in on Avdik, who was involved in that early collision. Back up to 6th place. Started this race in 6th, dropped as low as 7th, and is now back up to P6 as he works his way through Canada Corner. Oh, slip and slide out of Canada Corner and into the wall goes Avdik in the number 3 car, and that is trouble for him again. This time at the exit of turn number 12. Gets in the gravel and pow again into the inside wall. The tire bundles there. He will recover, but again, more time, more spots lost. Up front, though, I will say something. Pelechuk has extended this gap now to 9 seconds. And he is not looking back. Although last time by ran a little bit slower, he still is the fastest car on the racetrack. And into turn 5. Just looks so tidy and collected. And sometimes you don't have to be the fastest driver on the racetrack. You just have to be the most consistent one. And I will be willing to bet almost at some point today we'll have a driver with the fastest lap of the race that does not win the race. It's just an eventuality of road racing in general. Ecclestone back down to 2.8 behind Gary Peace in the number 8 car. So a little bit wide there at turn 6 on exit. Drops the right side tires onto the curbing, but has been reeling in the number 8 once again. Remember, he dropped out after dropping down the order, leaving turn 14 a couple of laps ago. Didn't get a great exit. Now is focusing on dropping that gap to Gary up in 2nd place. Ooh, a little bit of lap traffic there. That is Sim 6 Hunter Cole going a lap down here to Gary Peace as he navigates his way now under the bridge and towards the kink again. 127 miles an hour entry speed there for Gary. And leaves a little on the table in terms of track width. Didn't want to drop tires in the grass. Easiest way to end your race here at Road America. We've documented that already today. Pelechuk still in command. Dropped about 1/10 of a second to Gary Peace in the middle sector, but gained it right back. And 4th place, we'll keep an eye on Sadauskas. Remember, he was our pole sitter in this race. He started this race in 1st, fell back to 4th. He's now back up to 3rd place and running down 2nd. We'll have to keep our eyes on this. Sadauskas running, or actually Ecclestone running down Sadauskas, running him. Now, who's this ahead of him? That's the Volt liveried car. And that, of course, is Hunter Cole. Sadauskas now heading up the front straightaway. He's in the red car, but behind him in the silver, that is Ecclestone, who's trying to close that gap from 1.6 down to 0. Turn that number negative. He could get by and be on the podium here, but still some work to do in a lap car to get around into turn 1. Into turn 3 here. Ecclestone wasn't going to go for the pass there, but as soon as Hunter jumped on the brakes, then he was able to get by, and Hunter goes around for a spin. Was doing the right thing there, letting the 2nd place driver go on through, but in the process ran himself off course there just a little bit. Go back and have a look at that here. That was at turn number 3. Let's have a look from high above. That's not going to do us any good. Let's have another look. Different angle here down into turn 3 for this incident here with the number 6. Oh, he just tried to turn in, and just by that point, it looked like Ecclestone was there. Speaking of Ecclestone, he's trying to run down Sadauskas still. It's 2.4 seconds. That gap has grown just a little bit. 2 cars and 1 camera shot here. Down into turn number 8, a flat corner. It feels similar to turn 5, actually. It's got a similar... Whoa, off the course is Ecclestone at turn number 8. He's in the gravel trap. And in his process of trying to run down Sadauskas, he has put himself in the kitty litter, and the hunter becomes the hunted as Ramiro Trejo tries to run him back down. Just didn't get the thing slowed down and went straight off at turn number 8. But the runoff here allowed him to keep rolling the right direction. But out front, the gap is actually closing. Gary Peace, last time by, was a little slower than Pelebchuk, but the gap has come from 9 down to 7 seconds. But Pelebchuk might not be quite clear yet. We're not quite to halfway, 18 minutes to go, so still lots of time in this race. Lots of time for mistakes, especially. And it's easy when you get in your zone to focus and get yourself in a rhythm, but if you have your eyes on that relative box, watching the guy close in and behind, it can be a distraction. Well, I always say eyes up, eyes out the windshield. Don't worry about what's behind you. All that matters is what's out the windshield, because that's where you're going. 7 seconds, 7.3 back now to Gary Peace. And then Sadauskas is 12 seconds back from second place. And now Ecclestone 9.6 back from that. But for Sadauskas, the first lap didn't go the way he wanted. Had a pole position that he earned pretty clearly, but then on the first lap was overtaken by Pelebchuk down at turn number 5, and Pelebchuk has just never looked back. Checking in on Avdic again, we saw him go off a couple of times, but working his way back up where he started, P6. How about Trejo holding station here in 5th place? And looking down the order a little bit further, this is Steve Nunn in the number 5 car. Started 9th, up to 7th, so +2, and that came at the expense of Eric McHugh, who started 3rd. He is now down in 8th place. And of course, Hunter Cole, who started 8th and is now in 9th place. That gap is closing from the top spot to second. It's now 6.8. It was as high as 9.5. 6.5 seconds now, 6.4 seconds, as Pelebchuk is losing ground pretty quickly here this time around. Last time by, around a 23.790, and that was in comparison to Gary Peace's 22.728. So that was a full second gained by Gary Peace just in the last lap alone. Lap traffic on the horizon for Gary Peace down at Canada Corner. That, I believe, is Eric McHugh. A little bit wide there up onto the rumble strip at the exit of Canada Corner. And did lose a couple tenths of a second. It's just been give and take for the first 15 minutes of this 30-minute adventure. Second gained, a second lost, but he's trending the right direction as we pass the halfway point here. Sim Racing Chicago, thanks for joining us here on this Saturday afternoon, March 25th. I'm Kyle Heyer, bringing you the action here from Sim Racing Chicago in Algonquin, Illinois. 10 sims set up, 3 run groups of 10 drivers, all competing for prizes. And all 3 of those first place prizes will get you on a racetrack in some way or another, blending virtual and reality. Trouble at turn number 1, and that is Eric McHugh off in the gravel, and he almost had a big moment right ahead of one of our other competitors. Here's a look at turn number 1. Here's what happened. Just missed the turn in and off into the gravel, and just a slow, lazy slide. Keeps it pointed. No changes up front for now. It's still 6.3. Ooh, Pelebchuk giving up a ton of time in the braking zone. And Gary Peace, again, faster by 6 tenths last time by. He is making up a ton of ground. I could see him getting there by the end of this race. It's 5.8 now. It continues to drop from first to second. The gap is closing, and closing pretty quickly. At this point, Gary's just got to stay focused and continue doing what he's doing. He's eating into this lead. But will Pelebchuk go a little bit quicker as he feels the pressure from second place Peace? And no one's behind Peace to put pressure on him. And that's really the best thing that Pelebchuk could ask for, is someone to attack the attacker. And Sadauskas is too far back right now, 12 seconds behind second place. .4 is the differential. Looking down the rest of the order here, checking back in on Ramiro Trejo into turn number 5. Other driver that was involved in that lap 1 incident at the kink, and has since recovered a little bit, back up to P5. Started this race in 5th, so holding station, but had dropped momentarily in that incident. And trouble for Steve Nunn. He has gone around. This is on the entry to Canada Corner. This is kind of a strange spot, as there goes third place Ekagijis Sadauskas. So what happened here? He was already turned around. This was a long incident. He was working his way by Hunter Cole, and he had to go to the grass to get around him, and then there's contact, and that's where that happened. And right back across the racetrack, and then it just continued. And at that point, the damage keeping the car from tracking straight, and he will drop down to position number 8. So Steve Nunn going the wrong direction here as we get to the final 13 minutes of this one, and the gap up front still holds station at 6.8 seconds to the lead, and no other battles at the moment that are that close to formulating, so we'll keep you on the action as we can. Under the Sargento Bridge, there's the differential. Leader just went by. There's Gary Peace running in second. Here's a look at turn 5. There's your overall race leader, Pelechuk, in the number 8, or excuse me, the number 4 car, and then trailing in sim number 8, that's Gary Peace. So that's what 7 seconds looks like on the racetrack right now. Everybody hanging out here at Sim Racing Chicago, taking in the action, watching over the shoulders, watching on the screens, and spectators at home watching on the live stream here at Sim Racing Chicago. Oh man, that was almost a moment for Pelechuk at turn number 8. Dropped a tire in the gravel for a moment. Pelechuk, I believe, is visible the far left of your screen there. That is your Pelechuk sim. That's rig number 4. Gary Peace is on sim number 8, so the third from the right on this shot here. Into Canada Corner. 7 seconds remains the differential. It has just been give and take all race here. Prizes on the line and everybody fighting. But the first lap and going into the kink, what do the drivers for the B race learn is that getting through the kink on lap number 1, that's going to be free positions all day long. You have to nail that. You don't have the temperature in the tires. You don't have the temperature in the brakes just yet to take that full song like you did at the tail end of your qualifying run when you felt like Superman. So you really have to back it down on that opening lap until you feel the confidence, you feel the grip, and understand the weather conditions changing the dynamics of the surface. You can't trust the car until you've gone through there at least once. It's just a challenging corner. It always has been. And as I mentioned in the opener, this track has fundamentally not changed since its construction in 1955, including the walls in the kink. That will bite you as well. Checking back in a little bit deeper in the field there is Eric McHugh. Started up in row number 2, certainly had the pace to compete for the win today, but has not had the luck since then. In that collision there through the kink on the opening lap, that's what relegated McHugh back to 7th place. Was as low as last, but has rebounded at least a little bit here as we get to the final 10 minutes of this race. What can Gary Peace do to run down your overall race leader? He is 6.1 back. It's almost as close as it's been really since lap 5 or 6, 6.1 seconds. And you can taste it. You can almost see over the crest there, maybe on the run down to turn number, Gary Peace, problems at turn number 6 and turn number 7. The second place car skids and slides off course, just gets it back on, but he's gonna lose some time. What happened there to Gary Peace? Got on corner exit and just bit of a slide there. That was certainly not what he was hoping for with time running out. 10 minutes at Road America is not a lot of time With a 2 minute and 21 second lap, you're looking at about 4 laps to go next time by. So you're running out of opportunity to run down the leader without any more dramas. Meanwhile, for 4th place, this is going to get interesting here. We've got a battle between Trejo in the number 9 car and Ecclestone in the number 7 car. The difference between these drivers, 4.9 and closing, and off course, Ecclestone battling here with a lap car, I believe. That is Steve Nunn in the white car. Ecclestone lost some more ground. 3.7 back. Here's Trejo in the silver car. He's coming and coming quick for a battle for 4th. This would solidify his position inside the top 5. Not quite a podium as Nunn goes off ahead of him at turn number 8. Now what do you do? Where do you go? Which line do you take through the carousel? He has to wait on it here. Working their way through the carousel. Looking drivers left. This is a tense moment as he squeaks on through before the kink. And Trejo is through and will resume his chase of Ecclestone, who's about now 3.5 seconds north in 4th place. Speaking of north, the farthest north corner on the racetrack, Canada Corner. One of the most beautiful corners in North American road racing. You have to put Watkins Glen Zesses on that list, and then the Canada Corner here at Road America. Shaded, treed in. You can find yourself walking through a forest at Road America and hear the sounds of naturally aspirated sports cars rippling through the leaves. It is a cool, cool place to stand. 7 minutes and 30 seconds to go, and this is your closest battle on the racetrack. 2.6 seconds between the number 7, that is Ecclestone, and number 9, that's Trejo. As they chase each other down the front straightaway, the gap is closing and continues to close. Brake markers, the Cullens on the left, 4, 3, 1. Down to 4th gear, as you can see on the display there. And the display will also tell the driver if they're running better than their best lap or worse than their best lap. It'll help you kind of pace yourself, chasing and see where you're gaining and losing some time. A little bit of oversteer correction at the exit of turn number 3. And 2.6 remains the gap here. Up front, no changes. And looks like Peace has not been able to eat back into that lead. Oh, trouble ahead of him. And that was the 4th place car. That was Ecclestone in the middle of the straightaway, has found himself turned around backwards. Just off in the grass and then back across the road, and then he's going to slam the inside wall. That was a huge hit. Holy cow. Right here, just off in the grass, he was in 4th place, was probably looking in his mirrors, and then bam, into the wall. Driver's side, and then skids across the road, sparks flying, body panels just dented and distorted. That's a no low ballers, I know what I have. That's a Craigslist car you shoot from one side, that's for sure. Up the hill towards turn number 6. He's back rolling, but Trejo up to 4th place. The dramas here in the late stages of this one. 6 minutes to go from Road America. Again, thanks for joining us. We are live at Sim Racing Chicago in Algonquin, Illinois. This live esports championship. 3 races on the day. This is race C. We've got race B and race A battling for the bigger prizes coming up in just a short time. Up front, Pelechuk in the number 4. 11.3 seconds. That is a safe margin for any driver. As long as you don't put it in the wall, you're going to be okay. You can afford to give up a little bit of time. But sometimes drivers will say that they don't like backing down their pace. They'd rather continue to do what they're doing. As soon as you get yourself out of your rhythm, you're more prone to a mistake, even if you're trying to go slower. So we've seen drivers actually relax and go quicker because they're not thinking about pacing themselves. They're just focusing on the task at hand, and that is keeping the car on the black stuff here, keeping it on the pavement around the 14-corner road course. Pelechuk again started up towards the front, but got the lead on the opening lap, and trouble this time for the number, I think this is the number 7 car again. That's Ecclestone. We saw the crash on the front straightaway, or back straightaway rather, at turn 3 or 4, but this time on the backstretch leading up to Canada Corner. Here's what happened this time. Oh, he made contact here with Steve Nunn, and then back across the road, this time to the right side, knocks the corners in and drops another position now down to 6th. The 2 spots lost in 1 lap. for Ecclestone, not the direction he was hoping on going. Race leader works his way through Canada Corner with 4 minutes to go. This will be 2 laps remaining, 2 laps to go next time by. As Gary Peace tries desperately to eat back into that advantage. That Pejlipchuk, that was so close to the edge of the racetrack. But a wild race through the midfield here, but up front it has mostly been the top 3, Pejlipchuk, Peace, and Sadauskas. We saw Sadauskas again go off in the opening lap and find himself turned around backwards, but is on the podium and in contention for some runner-up prizing. 3 minutes to go here in race number 1 of 3 today. Pejlipchuk picks up 2 laps left, and the gap is shrinking again. It's 10.1 seconds now, dwindling into the 9s. But like I said, so much time left for him, he can give up a little bit and have plenty to spare. Trejo, we documented his climb up to 4th place. A little bit too far back to have anything to do about Sadauskas in 3rd, but given all he's got in the final minutes of this one here from Road America. Turn 14 for Trejo. Very critical corner. Leaves a little bit of racetrack left on corner exit just to be safe. As Pejlipchuk works his way through turn number 6 under the Corvette Bridge and now into turn 7. This corner almost flat. Have to lift just for safety. Get some weight back on the nose to let it turn in without the downforce of a GT3 spec car. Need to shift a little bit of weight forward to get some front grip. Do the same thing here at turn 8. As soon as you hit the brakes, the car will dive forward, shift that weight to the front wheels. And braking you want to do is as straight of a line as possible, and then trail off that brake to rotate the car through the corner and then get back on throttle and unleash the Porsche engine under the rear glass panel here on the back of the car. The kink for the penultimate time for the race leader. Most treacherous spot on the track. Oh, he's off course, drops a tire in the dirt, but keeps it straight. That was a heart-wrenching moment for a second. That could have been real bad, but getting more confident, we see. 9.8 seconds. Gary Peace does the same. Uses both stages of curbing there, but keeps it on the black stuff. And 13 seconds behind that is your pole sitter. And this is going to be a disappointing finish, I'm sure, based on him stealing the pole away. Had the lead down to turn 5 and has had the pace since, I think, to lead this race. His best lap is only about 2/10 off of Pejlipchuk. So he could have been leading this race if he didn't have that incident on lap 1 at turn number 11. Heading up the hill now towards Billy Mitchell Bend. There goes Sadauskas. But the race leader has passed the start-finish line. There is the white flag waving. 1 lap to go from Road America in Group C today. Again, we'll have 2 more races after this one. We'll take a short break to reset, and then we'll be back with Group B, and then following that, Group A, to finish out the day with our grand prizing, which again is a seat in a WRL car or a Champ car. Onto the back straightaway for the final time, and the gap has dwindled further to 9.2. But Gary Peace, with the incident we saw leaving turn number 6, doesn't have much hope of making up that ground without a mistake from the race leader. And for Gary, started in row 2. He will finish this race in second with second place prizing if he can get it around about 3 more miles on the binders into turn number 5. You see a little bit of rubber on the windshield there. iRacing, again, the platform of choice here for Sim Racing Chicago, and one of the details I've always loved is the rubber collection, the dirt buildup on these cars as they go through a race, especially in longer endurance races. The amount of buildup and debris that the cars can show is pretty insane, pretty phenomenal looking. But through the carousel for the final time, Eric Pejlipchuk working his way through turns 9 and 10 and then into turn 11. The kink one last time to navigate at speed into the shot. Here he comes. Hold your breath one more time through the kink, and absolutely textbook. Left about 6 inches on the left just for safety. 8.9 seconds back. Here comes Gary into the kink. And same story there. Keeps it on the road. And that means with the checkered flag in the hands of the starter and only 2 corners remaining, Eric Pejlipchuk What a phenomenal race. Almost mistake-free up at the front. Was able to get the pass done at turn number 5. Past Sadowskis, past Gary Peace. Final corner and the run up the hill. Road America, the National Park of Speed. Today it is the home of a race winner. Eric Pielewczyk will come up the hill. Checkered flag is waving and celebrate victory. Pielewczyk in sim number 4 gets it done, wins race 1 of the day, followed by Gary Peace in second place. 9.2 back, gave it all he had but couldn't quite get there. And a long ways behind that, 14 seconds, is your pole sitter. Egidijus Sadowskis up the hill, what could have been today. Started first, will finish third in this one. He'll pick up some prizing, but not the big ones today. P3 for sim number 1. Final moments for the rest of the field here. Trejo heads up the hill. Billy Mitchell-Benn for the last time. Trejo is in sim number 9. And last turn, Trejo is tracking down Ecclestone, who found himself caught up in a collision on the back straightaway. And Trejo is going to head up for home one final time. Checkered flag, position number 4, sim number 9. Next up to finish will be position number 5, and that is Amir Avdik in the number 3 car. And whoop, he's off at the kink and in the wall and bounces off back across the road, slams the concrete, and he's got 20 seconds to get back rolling because the number 7 car of Ecclestone is coming and coming quick. Here's a look at what happened to Amir. Just tracks out a little bit wide, gets in the concrete, and then the classic Road America crash back to the right on the final lap. He is rolling, but only a 12-second gap back to sim number 7, driven by Ecclestone. 10 seconds, 9 seconds, the gap. Oh, he's in the wall again at Canada Corner. He's only got 6 seconds to get it out of the tires before he's going to lose 5th place. Here comes Ecclestone, the car stricken in the gravel. He passes, picks up 5th place, and drama's in the late going for Avdik. He's going to drop another position outside of the top 5, and he'll have to limp this one home back to the checkered flag. In 5th place, the late drama's in this one. Guido Ecclestone, last corner, last lap pass for 5th place, heads up the hill for home. And checkered flag is waving, and it will be the number 7 car, sim number 7 in position number 5. And that will leave one final finisher on the lead lap. That is Amir Avdik in the number 3 across the stripe. He will finish and bring it home in position number 6. Well, that was a wild one here, folks. Thanks for joining us for race number 1. Let's have a quick look here at your session results. And top of the order, Eric Pielewczyk gets it done. Behind him, Gary Peace, Eddie Sadowskis in position number 3. Then Ramiro Trejo in position number 4. Guido Ecclestone, Amir Avdik, Eric McHugh, Steve Nunn, and Hunter Cole, the rest of your finishing order in this first race of the day. What a blast that was. 2 more left to go. And we'll get them started for you here in just a couple of minutes. On location at Sim Racing Chicago, I'm Kyle Heyer. We'll be back with you with race number 2 here in just a few minutes.